Monarchy in England began to take shape due to prolonged conflicts between the monarch and the Parliament. In the 17th century, monarchs from the Stuart dynasty, such as James I and Charles I, sought absolute power. But this was met with resistance from the Parliament, which fought for its rights and control over state finances. One of the main points of contention was taxes. Charles I often convened Parliament only when he needed funds and dissolved it when Parliament refused to approve new taxes. In 1629, Charles I decided to rule without Parliament, which lasted for 11 years. During this period, the ruler attempted to impose taxes without Parliament's consent, which caused public discontent. Additionally, religious issues also contributed to tensions. Charles I supported Anglicanism in contrast to the Protestant Parliament. The Civil War, known as the English Civil War, began in 1642 and lasted until 1651. The conflict started when Charles I raised an army against the Parliament. The Royal Army, composed mainly of aristocrats and their supporters, clashed with the forces of the Parliament, dominated by Puritans and their supporters. The Puritans were a group of radical Protestants who aimed to cleanse the Church of England of Catholic elements and introduce strict moral, religious, and social principles. In the decisive Battle of Naseby in 1645, the Parliamentary army, led by Oliver Cromwell, achieved victory, significantly weakening the royal forces. Charles I tried to regain power despite the defeat, leading to another series of battles. The Parliamentary army once again achieved victory, and Charles I was captured. Under pressure from Cromwell, the Parliament sentenced him to death. The execution was carried out publicly in London. After Charles I's execution in 1649, his son, Charles II, attempted to reclaim the throne. In 1651, the Battle of Worcester took place, where Cromwell's forces defeated Charles II's army, forcing him to flee to the continent. Following the execution of Charles I, England was proclaimed a republic. A republic is a form of government in which power is exercised by elected representatives of the nation rather than by a monarch and is based on the principles of democracy, rule of law, and separation of powers. Oliver Cromwell, one of the main commanders of the Parliamentary army, gradually gained more power. In 1653, Cromwell dissolved Parliament and declared himself Lord Protector of England, Scotland, and Ireland, becoming a de facto dictator. Cromwell pursued strict religious and social reforms, aiming to create a state based on Puritan principles. However, his rule was fraught with conflicts and discontent. He introduced policies of repression against Catholics and Anglicans, which met with resistance. Oliver Cromwell died in 1658, and his son, Richard Cromwell, took power as Lord Protector. However, Richard lacked his father's authority and could not maintain control over the country. In 1660, Charles II returned to the English throne, an event known as the Restoration of the Stuarts. After the restoration of the monarchy, relations between the king and Parliament remained tense. Power was then taken over by Charles II's younger brother, James II, who sought to restore Catholicism but was overthrown, and the throne was taken by William III of Orange. In 1689, the Declaration of Rights, known as the Bill of Rights, was signed, which limited the monarch's power and established fundamental principles for the functioning of Parliament. This document guaranteed, among other things, regular convening of Parliament, freedom of speech in Parliament, prohibition of imposing taxes without Parliament's consent, and the right to petition. This was a crucial step towards establishing a parliamentary monarchy in England, which limited the king's absolute power and strengthened the Parliament's role. From this point on, legislative power belonged to Parliament. Executive power was exercised by the government appointed by Parliament, and the courts were independent of the government and Parliament. The Declaration of Rights became the foundation of modern British democracy and significantly impacted the development of parliamentary systems worldwide.
Thank you for being a part of our educational adventure. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos.